What's going on tonight, guys? This is Burr with Portakeeper, and today was a really good mail day for me. I got this new DF64E. We're going to take a closer look at that. That's really the main point of this video. But I also got a couple more really awesome things. I got these Good Brothers, the Bricks Breaker beans. Really excited to try these out. If you haven't tried out Good Brothers, give them a try. Also, just that one in particular is going to be pretty wild. And then Portakeeper started selling these refractometers. They're about 150 bucks, and I have a bunch ready to go for you. If you place an order, visit portakeeper.com. You can do a search for them. But the main point is to check out this DF64E. This came from Espresso Outlet. I'll give you guys the preface. This grinder has been used. Joe Klobb, he's the owner of Espresso Outlet. And this is one of the grinders that he received just to test things out, because if you're going to buy a bunch to resell, you want to know what you're getting. So he sent me this one. It should be just lightly used, but if there's like a little bit of dirt, or it might not be packaged perfect like from the factory. It actually came double boxed. I slid it out of the other box, but it gives it a little bit of extra protection. And let's shimmy it out real quick. So it comes with some foam and the grinder. You gotta be careful when you take these out. You don't want the sides to come flying apart on you. Put this way over here. Let's lay it down flat. So taking off the top, we have our bellow. We have an Allen key for some adjustments. I'm not sure why we need that. We have the dosing cup. It looks pretty much identical to the DF64. I'll see if they're interchangeable. We have something that the DF64 people aren't used to. It's a hopper. And honestly, it's kind of a really unique, different design. So it looks nice. It's like a smoked glass too. It's plastic, but has a nice bean shut off. Power cord and the grinder itself. So normally yours wouldn't come with a little paper towel stuck in there, but that's just to keep everything nice and clean. But first impressions, it's really cool, very similar. I don't have, let me go get it, my other DF64 grinder lid. I have my niche killer lid over here, so let's do a quick comparison. Looks like a nice walnut lid. They both have that machine gasket in the side. Pretty cool. So looks almost identical to the traditional DF64. Let's take these out. And then you have the grinder. So let me move my camera closer, and we'll just start putting this together and taking a closer look at it. Okay, taking a closer look at this, it's pretty similar to the traditional DF64 in a way. So there they are side by side. They both have the forks that stick straight out. And you can tell the biggest difference between the two biggest differences in this one. This one has electronic dosing, and this one's at an angle. Now, I've seen a lot of people say, why isn't this new one at an angle? I can't really answer that. That's just how they opted to design this grinder. But I don't know. I guess I'm not that sold that the angle makes that big of a difference. So let's rotate it to the side so you can see it. You can see how this one has a pretty big angle to it, and this one's perfectly vertical. Not a real big deal, I don't think. So big difference again is a hopper, so I guess there's multiple big differences, and just fits on top. Let me back it out. So you have a hopper on top. And I'm a big fan of electronic dosing anyway. I think both grinders really do have their place. And I use both all the time at my house. So let's say I showed you the Good Brothers. This Bricks Breaker bean, it's pretty expensive coffee beans, and I'm probably not going to run it through my Atom 75. It's going to take a little bit longer to dial in, and I want it to be single dosed. So that's what's really awesome about this DF64 is you can single dose it with ease. But what I think is a real neat addition to this DF64E is you can use the shut off. You're still going to have some beans in here. That could be an issue for some people, but really if you just run it until there's no beans left, you could even probably turn it upside down if you really needed to. But if you wanted to go single dose, it comes with everything to make it single dose as well. So now you basically have the exact same thing as the DF64, but with the electronic dosing and then the option to do a hopper. So I think you really get the best of everything. You can run it however you want, maybe on the weekends. I like to take a little bit more time on the weekends doing a little bit more specialty coffees. But during the week, I want to get up. I have my app that turns on my machine. I want to come down, it's nice and hot. And I really just want to have a hopper that I can click, boom, single dose, double dose, little extra, and pull a couple shots right before work. And I keep saying that there's not much difference between these two, but there really is quite a bit more. So on this one, we'll plug it in here in a minute. When you hit the power button, it's just going to stay on, but that's not like on this DF64 where when you turn it on, this one's plugged in, it turns on the motor, and this is how you turn it on and off. This is just a power button, and this is how you will do your dosing, I believe. On the DF64, if you want to make a grind adjustment, you're going to spin this upper ring. On this DF64E, as well as, I don't have it, the DF64P, the P is basically this grinder without the electronic dosing and the bellows. So very similar. I think this is probably the better of the two, but it's really up to you and what fits your workflow. But this is the DF64E, and it actually adjusts on the bottom here. It's really easy to swing it around. You should do it while it's running. But what it's doing, I haven't taken this apart yet. We're going to take it apart at some point because you know I take stuff apart. I think it's going to be a lot like Eureka grinders. So if you're not familiar with the different grinders and how they work, when you adjust this collar actually pushes the burr up and down. The motor is stationary. I think in this one, the top burr is stationary, and then when you adjust the grind setting, it's actually moving the motor up and down. So why is that a big deal? Well, when you unscrew this, you lose your zero. It's not a big deal. You can use a dial like this, or you can use kind of their not ideal arrow in the front, and you can be like, okay, I was on setting 65 and put it on setting 65. With this one, you pretty much just leave it, pull off the top, clean out your grinder, put your top back on, and you never lost your zero because you never changed your setting. On this one, to open it up, you have to change your setting because you're removing the whole top. So having that bottom, this should be on the DF64P as well. It has this bottom adjustment. We're going to find out a little bit more how that works. Let's see. Let's grab a portafilter. Have my rocket portafilter. And you can direct dose grind. I don't have a basket in this, but you can actually direct dose grind into that. So I want to see, is it going to make a mess? It's going to be maybe a little bit harder to use a funnel. I don't know. I might have to grab a funnel. But direct dosing and an electronic dosing is a must for me, just for my daily use, because that's how I enjoy making coffee in the morning. I don't always like all the extra messing around. So let's hang that back up. You can use the traditional cup, So you can dose directly into the cup. Let's find one that has a basket. And then you take it and you pour your grounds in. You can shake it, or you can take this, you can pour it into like a Chemex or V60 filter, something of that sort, drip coffee. So it gives you just tons of versatility. You're getting electronic dosing. You can single dose with a bellow. You can adjust on the bottom. The power button's in a better place than on this one. It's pretty cool. It's a great size. This is my Rocket espresso machine. You can tell it's just a little bit taller. I would say we'll put it underneath a cabinet and make sure that it fits under cabinets nice, but it looks like it's a perfect height for most home under cabinets. Let's plug it in real quick. Okay, so here's the full lineup from Espresso Outlet. If you're not familiar with these, this is the Turin SD40. It is a conical 40 millimeter Burr grinder, and it's really small. It reminds me of one of those like big cans of iced tea that you see maybe on a checkout line. It's just really small. People are taking these on vacation. I've actually put this in my bag and brought it to work and made people coffee a few times and brought it home just because it is fairly portable. I mean, it's not the smallest thing, but it's definitely not big. Then we have the middle one, which is your DF64, just traditional, but it has a couple of the mods. It has a different wooden lid. It has the turn tilter that tilts your cup to make a little bit less mess, and it has an arrow to help you check your setting and keep your setting if you swap between brew methods. Then lastly, we have the DF64E, and I want to just do a couple quick differences between these three. So when you have this grinder and you want to turn it on, you hit the button and it starts grinding. With your DF64, to turn it on, you hit this button and it starts grinding, and it grinds as long as the button is depressed. So you click it once, it turns on, you click it again, it turns off. On the DF64E, you can see it has the same button as the regular DF64, but when you click it, it doesn't just turn on. It turns on the electronics. So what's cool about this grinder, I think, is you can easily single dose or you can easily time dose. And you have your single cup setting, you have your manual like override settings. If you hold it down, it just runs until you turn it off. Then you have your double. So to do your double, you click on it. It's set for 10.1 seconds right now. We'll figure out how to adjust that later. But to run it, you select whichever cup you want. We'll do the 5, and then you just tap it again. And it's going to grind for 5 seconds and then turn off. So you get this awesome time dose. If you want to, let's say, start it, add a little bit more, and then turn it off mid-dose, you can just click it again and it'll cancel that. You could also, maybe you just need a little bit of topped off. You just run it for an extra less than a second and then just add a few more grounds, and you're going to weigh it on a scale off to the side. But I think that's really cool feature. So the power button, it just works a little bit different than these other two grinders. A lot of people did not like this one down here on the regular DF64 because it can be kind of hard to put your hand under there. I don't think it's a real big deal. The SD40, it's a little easier to use. This one is just nice right on the side, turn it on and off. Something that I am noticing though is if you are using the dosing cup, you're wanting to make some setting changes, you're probably going to want to remove the dosing cup and make your setting change. A little bit hard to see behind this cup. I really don't think it's the end of the world, but I'd recommend, it might be a little bit hard. I mean, you can slip your fingers behind there. If you have the turn tilter from Portakeeper, it basically converts your dosing cup into a tilted dosing cup, and you can place it into your grinder. So that's going to get it a little bit closer to the spout and hopefully make a little bit less mess. What's nice about this too is you can go directly back to just using your portafilter. So that's pretty cool. What else? I mean, that's the main parts of this grinder, just kind of unboxing it, and I've not even used it yet. I think it's cool. I mean, I'm a big fan of electronic dosing. I think it can be really nice for your espresso bar. And then you bust out your good beans and you have single dose, and it looks nice too. I mean, this has a walnut accent. I'm not sure what all of them are, if there's different woods, but I mean, this is real walnut. You can put it on the top with or without the bellows. Now you're going to get more retention doing this, but you can do that. And even that just as a single dose, I think it looks pretty sharp. It's maybe not as simple as like the DF64P is going to be, but I think this gives you kind of the best of both worlds. That's why I'm pretty excited about it, because I've been really impressed with the DF64. And I didn't know what to think about this one at first. I always say this about certain products, but not a big conical fan, and I really think that this grinder is still worth it. It's definitely worth putting on your bar. So if you're looking to get one of these three, I'd say, I've not used it yet, but hands down, what you're getting out of the E is a ton of value. There's maybe a few things that aren't ideal. It looks like you could have like a little bit of retention with this bean shut off. You're going to still have quite a few beans in there. I mean, that's how it is on all my electronic dosing grinders. It just seems like you're having quite a few in there, but you could always tilt your grinder upside down. Usually what I do is, if I know I'm going to change beans, I just use the bean shut off and grind my day's dose and then dump this back into a bag. So not a big deal. Yeah, I think that's about it. Oh yeah, and just like all the other ones, you can upgrade to SSP burrs. These are SSP, these are the multi-purpose. So if you wanted to upgrade these should have Ital mill burrs. But if you're checking out on Espresso Outlet, he has a couple drop downs, and you can add these SSP burrs. There's actually 3 different styles. I don't know if he has all 3 in stock. You can check out my other videos, and I have a write-up on the Espresso Outlet blog as well on the differences between the burrs. But this is one of my favorite burrs. I really like the cast burrs. The espresso burrs are great too. I don't know if Joe has a drop down, but he might have a drop down for the Turin tilter. So you can opt to add that, make a little bit less mess, but also still use your portafilter with ease for direct dosing. You won't need the dial just because of the way this works is different. But we're going to do some more tests. We'll check out the retention with the bellows. We'll check out the retention just with your hopper. It's going to be obviously quite a bit more. I'm going to take it apart. We're going to see what's inside, and we're just going to go from there. Let me know what you guys want to see. Again, visit my website, www.portakeeper.com, and for all these grinders and all this other great espresso gear, visit www.espressooutlet.net. And if you're part of the Home Espresso group, you might know Joe. Joe's the owner, and Joe sponsored the reviews on these grinders. So thanks, Joe, for sending me these. I'll see you next time.